Everybody, welcome, welcome. Jose, you can go ahead and turn on your video and audio when you can there. Thanks for joining us here today for Early Viz Dev, Mastering Many Styles. My name is Todd Stevenson. I'm the Enrichment and Training Rep for TVA. I help support the studio internally and externally, and excited to introduce you to a true Disney superstar presenting for us today, good friend and just awesome human being, Jose Zelaya. I just want to give you a little bit of his background, and then I'll turn it over to him. Jose is a character designer and artist mentor, best known for his work on Recess, Futurama, Lilo and Stitch, the series Phineas and Ferb, Jake and the Neverland Pirates, The Lion Guard, and he is currently character design lead on Mickey Mouse Funhouse. For over 20 years, he has contributed his diverse talents to numerous animated television shows in multiple disciplines, and we are so thrilled to have him speak with you today. So Jose, thanks again for doing this. Thanks for taking the time. I'll turn it over to you, and then we will address questions when he's done presenting. So go ahead, Jose.
What an introduction. Thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate it. And again, thank you for inviting me to be here with you and everyone out there. It's truly an honor to be able to share what I picked up over the last 2.5 decades working in a Disney television animation. And I love to share with you guys what I picked up over the years that have like techniques that have helped me to stay in the business and be marketable. One of which is being able to adapt to different styles, which is something that's always really challenging. But again, this is a type of career where you're always learning, because there's always someone who's going to be a teacher. There's always, plain and simple, there's always someone who's better than you and is willing to teach you and share their ideas. With no further ado, allow me to share my presentation. And if you have any questions throughout the talk, please feel free to write them down. And yeah, let's keep this really casual. Let me share my screen real quick. And like I said, over the last 25 years, I've been able to work on different shows. And these shows have taught me so much about like volume, about different styles, about techniques, going from 2D to the 3D look. And I'm always excited to see new styles coming out. Now that I'm speaking to a lot of students, people who are beginning, I mean, you guys are like the future of having these refreshing styles out there. Wherever you are, thanks to the internet, now we're able to connect and share ideas, which is like a wonderful time to be in. Now, like Todd said before, Recess was one of the shows that I worked on, and it was the first show that I ever, like I hired, where like I achieved my dream of working for Disney. This show, thankfully, was kind of like, it was the show where I learned to do the basic expressions. I learned to turn the characters. I learned how to put on volume and construction into my characters as well. Thanks to my mentor and my lead character designer, Eric Keys. He was just like such a good mentor in guiding me in the right direction. I remember that in the beginning, my roughs were completely completely off model. They lacked a lot of construction, but the one thing that they showed was acting and good gestures. Now, moving along, these are 7 elements of character design.
Jose, real quick, I don't see your presentation. Try sharing screen again. I imagine others don't as well.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, no problem. I wasn't sure if you had actually clicked it yet, so go ahead.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. There it is. Yeah. perfect.
Oh no, it was my face all this time. Okay, let's
Yeah,
go
you're
back.
good. You're good. You're fine.
Like I said, these are some of the shows that I worked on where I picked up a lot of techniques, different styles, being able to handle and more of your style into fitting into another style makes you more marketable. And it's something, a style is something you can put on your tool belt to move along in his career. Like Todd was saying, Recess was like my big break. My dream come true was to work for Recess and being able to adapt to the style coming out of school. Now, this was a show that was so dear to me because, I mean, the characters were just so relatable and appealing, like different types of personalities and whatnot. Now, here are the 7 elements of character design that I've picked up over the years. The first one would be shape language. I'm sure you guys have heard of this before, which is like shapes. In this case, I had to draw a line, did 5 different lines, and I had to give them their own unique shape according to what their personality was. Now, after Recess, I was given a test to work on Lilo and Stitch TV series, which to me was like, oh my God, like I am in a way like competing to get this job with other experienced designers. And it was just so like, so, how can I say, it was like, it was scary. And, but since I love the show so much, Stitch, I mean, his personality, which is him alone, is like, you don't know if he's gonna bite you or hug you, which makes him my favorite character out of all of them. Gave me like that kind of like inspiration to try my hardest to design these characters to appeal the crew, and luckily I was able to jump on it. And again, I went home so happy to be part of this show, Lilo and Stitch TV series, where I learned so much from another character designer named Dana Landsberg. Now, this guy was incredible. The way he designed characters, we designed characters like he would draw on top of his drawing like 16 times, like or so. I mean, this guy was such a perfectionist. And I remember showing up to his desk with my designs, you know, designs that lacked overlaps and construction. And here I go thinking, oh man, I have such a good design. He's gonna be impressed. But every single time this guy would just like with a red pen, just like draw over them, and I'll be like inside of me, you know, I'll be like, ah. But in reality, I was like, it was such like I was so lucky to work with him because I learned so much from those drawovers. And same with Tim Moen. This is a design that I turned for him. And talking about shape language, these characters you can see very clearly, it's a little bit more square, the line style, and just like these blocky shapes. And now we have this other design where you have like distinct shapes. Like if you were to turn them into black and white, you would read exactly who the characters are based on their silhouette. So something you always have to keep in mind. Now, this character doesn't have any lines. He's a dust bunny. And so this character is made out of shapes. And this is where I can show you like how shapes are very important. You can still make shapes into appealing characters. For example, this one, when I was given the task of doing a dust bunny, I was thinking, God, how am I gonna accomplish this without any lines? Well, now you have so many, like a choice, a wealth of brushes that you can use for this and have fun with it. Number 2 is line style. Now, line style can be straights like this and a few curves in it, like very graphic. And then you have another style where it's a little bit more loose. Now, this style is one of my favorite ones, and you can say it's like a sketch because this one, it looks like it's moving. You can see that you can almost feel the spirit of the character, which is something we always do when we're sketching, right? Like the sketches that we get that are loose are the ones that feel like they're moving. Again, you have a line that is very rough, but yet it reads well. This can very well be animated thanks to the technology that we have nowadays. Now, the line. These are designs from Tin Moen. And I had to do these special poses in television animation or TV in general, TV productions. You have to move fast, because schedules are a lot smaller. So you jump on this, and it's quite a challenge. But then again, it's what makes a challenge being challenged is where you grow, and it's where you learn more. Here we go. This is Larry. This guy is such an awesome character. I love working on him all the time. I find myself, when I draw these characters, I find myself in my mind, of course, acting them out, thinking about what they're going to say. And I feel that that helps the drawing to make the character more relatable because it feels a little bit more human. And here we go. This is Pen. And again, a design where the line, if you can see, is very rough, but it animates well. This is the first show where I saw Larry Levine set a style where you had multiple layers of texture, and at the end of the day, it looked amazing. Now, number 3, character pose. A character pose is almost you're acting, right? A character pose can say a lot, like the connection between these two guys, right? They're running and they're looking at each other. You can tell they like each other, right? That's how you're posing a character. This guy, Bonga, which is super adorable, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but when I designed this character, on the back of my head, I was thinking of Lilo and Stitch and Sonic the Hedgehog. And so as you can see, I was able to put that together and come up with this character named Bunga. And I gave him these big cheeks because I want this character to be the eye candy of the show. If you notice, every show has an eye candy character, which is the character you want to buy or want to have a toy of. And most shows have this character. Now, this is a weather vane. And this is not a human, but with the posing, I'm able to show the character's personality and that it's alive and it can be animated. Now in this situation, you have Daisy's babysitting this big baby, right? And I just thought it'd be so funny to have her hold them and kind of feel the tension, like, oh my God, what did I get myself into, right? And so and now Lilo and Stitch has a glitch, right? This is for the TV series. And I thought, man, what would happen if Stitch has tons of coffee, right? He would just be like, all like, caffeinated, all crazy and hyper. And so that's what's thinking behind these designs. Now, the posing, like, let's say the top character happens to be like a proud eagle, right? Like when you think of an eagle, you think about like the king of the sky, the one that flies high. And so at the same time, you put his chest out, right? Like you're acting like, yeah, that's right. This is me. And at the bottom, you have Mazingo. He's kind of like conniving, bad guy, bad character. You think of him as somebody who'd be kind of hunched and scheming, such a schemer, mischievous character. And so then the posing on the characters helps a lot in creating characters that stand out as the antagonist and the protagonist of the show. And then everything is the posing, the acting, the stretching, the expressions. You can show so much about the character. In this case, these monkeys are super rough. And whenever I do roughs, I feel like they're, like I said before, they're more alive. In this case, you could tell this monkey is like, kind of like the tricksters, right? The monkey to the screen left. And you have the monkeys to the screen right. They're kind of like the followers, right? And so with a little bit of even disposer, like it's like, all these things you start acting out and putting them on paper. And back in the days, like even still to this day, a lot of animators, storyboard artists, designers, they have mirrors, right? But acting it alone, kind of like when you make an expression, like you kind of feel the muscle of your eyes. So when I draw, I tend to make those expressions I'm drawing. I may look a little bit crazy, but I find that it does work. Number two, color. Now, color is just between these two guys that complement each other. If this is like a spin-off from Lion King, which is a show that when I was in school in 95, 94, I believe it came out. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to work for Disney so bad. I'm going to work as hard as I can to achieve that dream that seems so unattainable. So, and to have the opportunity to work on this show for me, it was just like, what? Like, I can't believe this is happening. And that's the attitude you have to have with anything that you do, any project that you jump on. It's good to have this like energy that helps create these characters that feel happy, especially for Disney. You know, we design characters that are like positive and safe, and like I always hear this from development executives, relatable. Now, color on this one, I try to put a little, make it hot, like Africa would be. And on the top left screen, left corner, I made it kind of like the positive side things, and on opposite, I made it kind of like the dark side of things with Scar's gang of lions, right? And so color can make things feel safe and can make things feel like tension as well with reds. It's just something really important to add to your characters to have that punch, especially for presentation, such as development, or if you're thinking about pitching your own show. It's always nice to have color in your characters. And if you don't know much about color, you might have a friend who does. And so it's a teamwork effort where like you connect with people and you create amazing things. Now, this one, color and texture on the back, you know, the background is texture so that the front can pop. And color just feels neon. I was thinking Miami when I did this, and I try to put those colors that feel like so. Again, this character in color, you sometimes this drawing without color looked really busy. And once you start putting color, you can kind of like separate the characters a little bit, especially in situations like this where I have multiple characters interacting, overlapping with each other. Number two, and this is probably one of my favorite ones, which is costume and costume change. In television animation, we do a lot of that. For example, props, adding props to your character. It says like, this girl knows how to use a bow and arrow. She's into gadgets and into robots and like futuristic holographic images. And so then on this character, this is character for development, where I try to put I just try to fill the page with things and just throw every single thought that I had about this character in one page. So when you present it, it looks really busy. But then again, the people you're presenting to kind of spend some time kind of like, whoa, and you kind of let their mind go wild, right? Then they come out with really good notes and ideas. Now, even you don't even have to fully color the characters. Like in this case, it's just simple color on this beautiful Minnie Mouse that shows, okay, there's a light still on top of her head. Okay, like the next dress, the pink dress in the middle is kind of like see-through a little bit and sparkly. And so this is the one part of my job that I like a lot, because sometimes, like for instance, we have designs that we do that take you to another part of the world where you have to kind of do your research. And half of the job is doing research and getting great reference. Like in this case, Harajuku Goofy. I had no idea what Harajuku was until I was had the opportunity to work on this one episode where the characters went to what is it? Oh, Japan, I believe, Japan, Korea. Like, I'm sorry, guys. And I mean, I just was thrown with so many costume reference. And now, this is not a 2D show. If this was to be animated, it would be nearly impossible. The animators would totally, like, their heads would explode. But since we have 3D now, the medium of 3D, where like you can model this character and can move into space, right? In between and everything, the computer does everything, not everything, but the whole like modeling, and this can be achieved. Now, this is the current show I'm working on, Mickey's Mouse Fun House. Now, this show is, to me, is like the most amazing show I worked on. And we have incredible people working on this show, like Alan Bodner's art direction makes this show such a like pleasant show to watch. Now, if you can see here, these characters are in their pirate costumes. You can right away think, okay, they're gonna be on a pirate ship. There's gonna be an ocean right away, right? So the costume tells a story without saying what the story is, but you already imagine water and a ship. In this case, you see them like, wait, medieval outfits. Whoa, that means it's gonna take place in a time where there may be dragons, right? You think about dragons, etc. This one, you see him like a safari. Uh-oh, there may be animals in the show, such as elephants, lions, gorillas, etc. So the costume is already telling a story without having to say it. Now, on this one, what do you think about when you see this? You think about, hey, dinosaurs, right? Exactly, because you know we have the characters dressed in prehistoric attires. Now, this one, they're going fishing, right? And so now this one, you think right away, underwater, you see the background on them, and it's water. They're underwater with all these coral and these beautiful colors. Now, what do you think about? Think about space. So see, just the costume change alone tells a big story about the character, where the characters come from or where the characters are going. Number two, this is one that took me a while to understand, which is visual tone. A lot of times when you read a script, you think like a script that for a show that is brand new, it doesn't have any designs at all. And when you read through the script, you know there's a preschool show. And so you start reading and you think, okay, I'm gonna design characters that are like cute and round and just adorable characters, right? Round, friendly characters, like it is the case for Mickey Mouse. And then as you move forward, you start thinking, okay, like cute characters, like for Lion Guard and the script. And then they start feeling, now this one doesn't feel so preschool, even though it is, it feels like it's a show for a little bit older demographic. And then you move on to like designing for Dave the Barbarian, where the look kind of feels like it's a little, it lends itself more for comedy and a lot of stretch and squash, maybe rocks falling on top of people, etc. So the tone of the show, it's very important to understand when you're designing characters for the first time for the show. Like in this case, this is Spider-Man, right? But it's a baby Spider-Man. It's a little Spider-Man, right? So it's not going to be the action you see in the movies, Spider-Man. It's going to be like, this is more for like a younger demographic between the ages of, who knows, 6 and 8. And then you start seeing this, oh, this looks like a little bit more action. The tone, you see the tone is like raising a little for a little bit older. Oh, well, there's all these gadgets, helicopters, all this action happening, right? This is not something a preschool toddler would be into. This is something for a little bit more like a early teen demographic where they're going to be watching the show. And then tone keeps moving. Like this one feels a little bit more mysterious, right? This is a drawing I did for Gravity Falls for character design test. It is very important to take characters tests for different types of shows because it gives you a time where you can try to like bend your style to fit, you know, this given style. And you grow a lot from trying things like this that are very challenging. But then again, talking about the tone, this feels again a little bit slightly darker, right? And as we move along, you start seeing Simpsons, Homer. And you think, whoa, this feels prime time. This feels for, it's like an older audience, right? So you were hitting the tone. Every show has its own tone. So when you design a show, you want to think about that. You want to think about the demographic you're designing for, because it's very important. You have Marge for different, with a flapper dress. You have pirates for the show, and it's starting to feel a little bit more prime time. Then you have zombies, right? And if you're really scared, this is not something it would air on Disney, Disney Junior. Something that would air like, you know, for like a much older demographic. Now, this is one of my last but not least elements of design, which is personality types. And I find myself thinking a lot about this part of the design process when I'm doing expressions. You know, what is the character's personality like? How would he push his expressions? You know, now this is Binga, which is Bonga's love interest. How would she be? She'd be probably a little bit more sassy, right? And so then I act that out and I try to understand, wait, who is someone that I know in my life that it can be like that? And I actually do think about those people, the things, the expressions they make, and not only in your life, but in movies that you watch or reference that you gather from online. Now this guy in acting, like, who would this guy be, right? And so then, again, you start acting and digging in from all those people that you know that would be this kind of tough hammerhead guy, you know? And again, expressing cheery, happy, mischievous puppy. And as you can see on the screen top right, you're gonna see reference. Again, reference is super important. Cuca Loca, right? Like, she's like tough and just an adorable character from the mind of Robert Ramirez. But one thing about personality, and it's something that I see a lot happen, especially with people who are starting in their portfolios. I see that their characters look different visually, but their expressions are almost kind of like the same. Because in a way, when you're starting, when you draw on paper, for the most part, you're drawing yourself, right? Because you're acting or not acting. So what I found online is something that may help you understand a little bit, like a simple guide to different types of personalities, which is, this is a quadrant. And it's just super like psychology for beginners. And I like to explain a little bit about what this is. We have on the top screen left corner, we have promoter. Now, a promoter is someone who tends to be very loud. At school, he tends to be like this school clown, right? Like he's like the life of the party. He's always late because he's too busy partying somewhere else. His office is a mess. It's like, or like his drawing desk is like papers everywhere. It's fun. He's loud. And even when he walks, it's kind of like, has like a little like walk, like, yeah, what's up? It's so, the attitude is kind of, it's really good to be me, right? Then across bottom right, you have analyst, which is the opposite. Now the analyst is completely opposite to what the promoter is. The analyst is someone who's always on time. And when he dresses, kind of, he matches and, you know, like dresses well. This person tends to pump gas on his car the same day at the same gasoline station. This person is someone who plans their day. If there was something, these people also analyst type tend to sit at the back of a presentation. They tend to sit like away from the spotlight. They come across as very smart and knowledgeable. A lot of artists, we're analysts, and we use art to express ourselves, right? As opposed to the promoter, where he's really good about talking to people, being on the spotlight, center of attention. Now, on top right corner, we have the controller. Now, the controller is someone who makes decisions for you, someone who tends to be perhaps a producer, your boss, and is someone who has fire inside. I mean, when you speak, they're very very deep and very forward. Also in the way they stand very like, proud and square. Promoter is kind of like, hey, always moving. Analyst is very like center. And on the opposite side of the controller, bottom left, you have the supporter. Now the supporter is someone who is also a leader, but they tend to lead in a different way. They care about people. Like the name says, supporter, they support people. They don't mind doing things for others, like they can bake cookies all night for people at work or people at school. And deep down, they know that they're not going to really appreciate it, but what the heck, I'll just still do it. They're about love, nature. Even the way they walk kind of like they're underwater. Even their faces, you see they're a little bit more chill. Like they're like, yeah, they do the really good listeners as well. Again, a controller, their eyebrows are always like this, like always like, hey, what's going on over here? Like that, right? Promoters, they're more like, yeah, like really high up. They're like really happy, really bright. Analysts, they're more like stoic, right? They're always listening. They're always paying attention. They're the kind of people, the analysts are the kind of people who don't like to take risks. So they watch other people do something before so they can realize, oh yeah, that could be done. So then they do it, right? And so these people are all over the world, all around you, in movies, etc. So this is a good thing to dive into and try to understand. So when you design your drawings, you choose a color of personality that fits. These are some positive traits to the promoter, as you can see. Perhaps you can screen grab this. And again, promoters are very energetic, confident, optimistic, spontaneous, charismatic. They're really good speakers, great actors. They're curious. They tend to be salesmen. The analysts, they're independent, organized, thoughtful, cautious, detailed. They're inventors, architects, musicians. Controllers, as you can see here, they're problem solvers, ambitious, motivating, focused, confident. They're builders, they're leaders, they're producers, and they're very passionate. On the opposite bottom left, you have supporters. Supporters are very affectionate. They're always relaxed, like I said. They're quite calm, servant, kind. They're peacemakers. They're teachers and diplomats. Now, these are positive traits. But while searching online, I found a lot of negative traits, which are also good to understand. As promoters, they're self-absorbed, forgetful, distracted. They're always exaggerating about everything. They're very impulsive and making decisions, always late and very loud. Now, you have the analyst with perfectionists, prone to moodiness, tunnel vision, too cautious, they're obsessive, and they're difficult to please. Now, controllers, they tend to be, like I said before, they make decisions for you. They know it all. I mean, every time you're talking to a controller, they know everything. I mean, they're not really listening to you. They want to be listened to. Again, they demand loyalty. They're very impatient. They can be rude and aggressive. Now, supporters, they're discouraging, undisciplined, they're stubborn, and this is one funny one. They're lazy, according to this. They're shy, permissive, passive aggressive, sarcastic, indecisive. So this is another one to you guys should take a screen grab too, or search more about online. There's different personality examples you can find out there, just to try to understand people in the world around you. So when you design your characters feel like relatable. So when you see a character on TV, on a movie, you think to yourself, oh my God, I know someone who fits that personality. It could be you, it could be your brother, your sister, your friend. And so you want to take this into consideration when you are designing your characters. And to make things simple, promoter would be Vince. He's the jock, you know, he's the athletic guy, right? Like he's not shy. And then you have the opposite, Gretchen, who's the analyst, right? She's always like, wait a minute, guys, if we do this, that's gonna happen. She has it all planned, and everybody goes to her for ideas or anything has to do with anything that needs planning. Now you have Spinelli when she talks, her attitude and how she like walks and like her posing. She's kind of controller person. You can feel it in how passionate she is about things. Now, of course, she can always beat you up. And then you have Mikey. And if you remember Mikey, he was really like into poetry, even the way he moves, was such a gentle giant. So you can see, you can put a lot of characters in this quadrant. You know, Princess tend to be very supportive as well. When I design bad characters, I think about controllers and whatnot. And you're thinking, where's TJ? Where does TJ fit into this? A lot of times in a lot of dynamics like this, I find that TJ is all of them, which is why he's kind of like the main character in the show, because he can do it all. He can bend his personality to be promoter, control the situation when he has to, think of a plan out, and at the same time have a heart to be honest and open his heart to give a message, right? So you find a lot of characters like that, that, hey, wait a minute, I don't know what this character fits is everybody. But you have this fifth color character type that fits right in the middle of all of them. Now, you see this in cartoons. You also see this in movies. Like this movie is Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just like one of my favorite movies out there. I mean, Star-Lord is like one of my favorite characters. It's just hilarious. Now, Todd, are you there? Todd?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, what's up?
Okay, based on my talk, who is the controller of this group?
It'd be Rocket, right?
Rocket, that's right. There's nobody like me but me, right? You remember if you watch the first movie, there's no impossible for this guy. Even though he's small, he still walks like he's a giant, right? He's like tough guy and stubborn. And again, there's no impossible. One of the scenes that mostly shows this is when they try to escape from jail. You know, you see Rocket grabbing all these gadgets and putting this together, hacking the drones so the drones can like pick up this container where they're all in, and they're able to like make this like epic escape from jail. This is Rocket. There's no impossible for him. Now, besides Rocket, who would be the supporter?
Gotta be Groot, right?
Groot. That's right.
No.
It's Groot. Groot's even the way he moves, really like, and he cares for his friends. He's even willing to give his life for them, as he does in the movie, right? He sacrifices himself for his friends, and that's something that a supporter would do for his loved ones. Now, it's pretty easy now to see who is the supporter. I mean, I'm sorry, who is the promoter?
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, that's right.
Sure.
This guy has a task, which is to recover the stones, right? And he gets easily distracted by, like, I don't know, talking to Gamora, and you know, like he's all about, oh, come on guys, this is fun. Like he just fits that character type, the very likable character that is loud and is not shy, and it's fun, right? And now, which leaves us to a analyst, which would be Gamora, right?
Yeah.
Now, Gamora, even in her face, you can see it. Gamora is like on task. I mean, she's gonna save the day with his team or without. She can do it herself. Why? Because she's strategizes and she's organized and stays on point. So you will see this dynamic in a lot of the movies. And why is this important? We don't want all the characters to be the same, to feel the same, because there would be no contrast. So when you design your character lineups, you want to make sure that your characters have these colors, personalities where they feel different, create a dynamic, a world into your shows. And as you can see, you know, the promoter, Star-Lord, controller is Rocket, supporter is Groot, and analyst is Gamora. Now, there's one interesting point I'd like to make before I finish this, is that opposites attract. You will see this in the world. Like, let's say you go to a wedding where you know your family members, and you see your uncle and your aunt dancing. You're going to see that one of them, let's say the analyst, happens to be your uncle. He's going to be dancing kind of like, oh God, I wish this song ends. Why is this song so long? He's going to be kind of square, like kind of side to side dancing. Meanwhile, you're going to see your aunt like just throwing her arms up in the air, just being super wild and having the time of her life, right? So you're going to see a lot of these personalities in couples around you, which you see Groot and Rocket. You see them together and they work together, a controller and a supporter, a promoter and an analyst, right? They make great friends. So it's another thing to think about when you're creating two dynamic characters, to start thinking, hey, inspire from actors, from TV, from the people you know, and put those personalities in your characters so they feel new, refreshing, and real. Now, mastering different styles. Now, this is something you pick up with practice, but to make it super simple for everyone out there, you have, for example, Mickey Mouse, where there's a lot of overlaps and there's some construction, there's like volumes, and it's almost like you're almost faking 3D with the lines, right? And then you have another design that's completely like graphic, and you can see just a lot of straight curves. Here and there, you may have straights against curves and whatnot, but these two feel really different, right? So what you want to do is really understand these two basic styles, the organic volumetric one and the graphic one. Now, I'm gonna start playing the next slides and you're gonna see how they start changing. They go from volumetric to graphic. Because once you know the two, then it's easier to imagine what the middle ones are gonna look like, right? And so, again, you have Lilo and Stitch TV series. There's Halloween costume change, right? And you see how they start feeling, they still feel kind of like soft and round. And then over here, they still, you can still see they're starting to get a little bit flatter. And this look also lends itself for the type of comedy that it is. And then you start seeing both of them mixing together. You start seeing the straights and the curves, but a little bit more curves on this one, right? And as you keep going, you start seeing, oh, okay, they're starting to get simpler and simpler shapes. Like the character in the middle, you see his rounded head, and Jake's on the other side is kind of like a bean shape, right? Like kind of like I don't know, this is some kind of fruit. And you see a lot of straights, and it's starting to cross that border between volumetric and graphic. And then you jump onto like boom, graphic, where there's just straights all over the place, and it starts to feel a little bit less preschool and more kind of like more like early teens demographic. And then you start mastering it. There's a lot of straights on it. And again, one way to achieve that is to practice. For me, is turning my characters. Turning my characters allows me to visualize the character in different angles as if it was a 3D world. And little by little, when you start turning them, you start becoming better and better. And Clarabelle, again, is for a 3D show, so I had to make it as close to 3D as possible. And on this one, it's a little bit less, a little bit like a simplified version of Tinkerbell to fit the world of Jake and Neverland Pirates. And this one, the amazing designs of Tim Moen were a little bit more graphic, line shapes, right? And turning them, like for instance, in this case, helping out on this show, Tim Moen, the lead character designer, like just give me a character and I had to turn it and I'll be like, okay, Tim, like I'll do my best, man. Try my best to do it. And these are the times where like you really have to like put everything that you know and don't know and just make it work. And this is again a design from incredible Jose Lopez, where he gave me like the 3/4 views and I had to like match the style and understanding the shapes and understanding the line design helps a lot to achieve this. I mean, this is something that hair, when I first saw it, I was like, I'll be like, oh my God, this is gonna take me forever. But over time, you find out achievements that you can do to make the hair and the silhouette work. I mean, this is a lot of drawings, but the experience does come handy. Now, this is another show that I did for another artist. Is one of my favorites, Sean Galloway. And my assignment was to make this character move in space, like do action poses. And I thought, oh my God, how am I gonna do that? Well, the first thing I did is I reverse engineered the character, figuring out what the basic shapes are. A lot of times you do this in your mind, but it also helps to actually put it on paper because as you're drawing your brain, you're kind of memorizing like how everything joins the body, how things connect, where the lines, where the straights are and the curves. So this helps a lot to then be able to visualize this character and begin to move him into space. Same from Mysterio. I did the same exact thing. I tried to like simplify the character as if I was trying to show someone how to draw it. But this was for me to be done. I did this for me so that I can understand how I'm going to turn this guy and create these poses where like they're now moving and make it look like it's part of the show. And so then again, for this character, the same exact thing. Now I can act it out and push it. And of course, after so many notes, I was able to like, boom, have this final character, which I'm really proud of because it's not like the characters you see are really graphic, really simple, really graphic, simple characters. They just take a lot more construction, understanding anatomy. Like this guy over here too, it's another character I was like, oh, but I was able to pull it off eventually. And it does take work. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, there's such a good feeling about being able to achieve this. And here we have Venom again, and trying to put that like the body anatomy, push the arms, and just have fun doing this. And so those are some of the things that I've been able to pick up over the years, and I'm so happy. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you guys. And I can't wait to see what you guys can create and have fun doing. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jose. You can go ahead and you can stop sharing screen. I know your dog there is super cute and everybody wants to look at it, but you can stop. We can take some questions. We have some time here. So let's start. There's a lot of questions. We're not going to get to them all. Oh, did you hit stop sharing screen, Jose?
I believe so.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so let's start with this one. I thought this was good. What do you suggest for artists who feel stuck in the technique and structure and are trying to break free into better shapes and ideas that are way more expressive and interesting?
Okay, so you have, I know exactly what you mean. What happens with character design and artists in general, they try to stand out by having one style and being known for that style, which is something really good. But what you want to do, for example, is grab a character, your favorite character, and begin to challenge yourself to do a turn, to do expressions on a character, to, like, I pretend it's a job, like I do, where I jump onto a new show and I try to match that style. And like I said before, like I said earlier, challenge yourself to start doing. Don't start like with the whole like super a lot of anatomy characters. Start small, you know. Do a character, a simple character, like the fun designs of A Wonderful World of Mickey. You know, like simple characters. Begin to turn them, do expressions, do stuff that you like, because it's gonna keep you motivated and inspired.
That's good. That's good. Along those lines, if you could tell yourself 10 years ago something to help you with your portfolio at the start, become a stronger artist, what would you say?
Well, first of all, I would say when I started, my God, the most technology I had was a pager. I was like, wow, a pager, right? So you have so much advantage. You have access to different like art accounts and social media where you can learn faster. You have tutorials that you can follow. But if I was to tell myself something, to be honest, I would say I love doing character design, but when I think about it, I think, man, I wish I had gone on the storyboard side, because I find it to be more creative. It seems like a lot of work, but it's the kind of work that like you enjoy because it's loose and you can tell stories and you can move audiences more. And yeah, I would say I would have followed, if I could tell myself something, it would be like storyboards, man, storyboards. But anyway, if I can say another thing is life drawing and anatomy, drawing animals, drawing, combine it to perspective and life drawing. Or gonna just do tons of those, because the more you do those, it's gonna make everything really easy. Because if you know how to draw the human body, you can literally draw anything in the world. So to make things easier, I would say, yeah, focus on that. And then, you know, at the same time for a hobby, do, you know, like double drawings. Hope I answered your question.
And I'll echo that. You know, our top artists, they all continue anatomy drawing still for after 20 years, 30 years. Never stop, never stop. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that.
Yeah. Got a couple more minutes here. When designing a character, when do you think it's time to stop and settle with what you've come up with? I keep changing my character designs. This is from Samara. Sorry, I didn't say the names of the others. My bad. I keep changing my character designs and I never feel satisfied with them. Any advice?
Yes, design it, put it aside for a little bit. Wait a day or two, come back and look at it and see how it feels to you. Also, not only doing one character, but doing a lineup. In the lineup, you're gonna see how you may be, let's say you have a main character and you have secondary characters all around him. You're gonna see how the main character starts kind of like falling behind, because all these characters over here are like really busy and really loud. So you kind of want to like tone them down, and putting them down in the lineup works, putting it down behind the background works. And at the same time, think in animation is best to be simple and just put the things that are gonna, like the fashion statements that are gonna say, this is what my character is. But I know it happens all the time, especially with color and everything. You just never know. And it's kind of like the process where you have to, you know, you do one, save, put it in the side, do another one, save, and then compare it, ask friends, because they may have a fresh eye on it. Yeah, I would say that. Also flip your drawings. Keep flipping your drawings as you're drawing. You did it, flip it, draw it again, flip it. And that'll help.
Yeah, Ben Balestrari would say the same thing. Keep flipping back and forth, see what it looks like each angle.
Yeah, I learned that from Dana, man. On the animation desk, on the disc, he'd be a drawing, he would just throw it to the ground. This drawing was amazing. I was like, oh, like, I wish I had some of those. He would just like throw it away and then put another one doing that, which is like, oh my God, how do you do it? It's like those the artists that paint sand and they just like, you know, like blow it away, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's part of the show.
Let's see one more. How much time? I'm sorry, I know there's so many questions, so many great questions. We don't quite have time for all of them. This was a good one from Sybil. How much time do you give yourself ballpark for research in rough sketches and drafts?
Okay.
Kind of depends, right?
It does depend. Like, to be honest with you, research, I might start looking at something and you know how it is. You're just like, you like just stay there. 2 hours go by. You're like, oh my God, what have I? So, in research, I would say I spend perhaps 25% of my weekly time. I would probably do research, which has to do with studying the script, understanding the characters. Like there's like if I got to do an exotic bird, I try to see where the bird is from. A lot of times, like it depends too, because if the characters go to another country, I have to study what their culture is, their fashion, and because I have want to be stay true to that culture, and which is yeah, like it depends. Like now, if I do a Latino culture, I'm like, I know how to do it, right? So it just depends on that. On that, yeah.
Yeah, and in TV, it's a quicker turnaround, so we don't have quite as much with
You just
with
like
feature.
do it right. Right.
Maybe have 2 weeks. So then I think one last one. I know we're over here and people may have to go, but there's been a lot of questions about portfolios. Let's see. Alexis, in a viz dev character design portfolio, if centered around a single story and you're developing instead of general pieces, is it better to keep more to one style so that everything looks like it lives in the same world, or do you do variation? So,
look,
yeah.
It depends what it's for. First of all, find out what your portfolio is for. Make it simple for the recruiters. If it's a prop portfolio, make sure it's geared towards props, have perspective, have cars. Even a car can have personality, you know. A stroller, a baby stroller could be a stroller from Mickey, really cute with hearts and all these cute little round things. Or it can be like a stroller for the world that fits Nightmare Before Christmas, which would look completely different, right? So then keep that, show lifetime as always, because as artists, we see lifetime, we can kind of tell kind of like what your, you know, skill set is. And again, if it's for character design, you want to have different styles. Why? Because then I'll be able to see whether you can jump on this style, do this other style. We can see your range. But another thing that I want to say is your portfolio is your key to landing a job. Also, of course, connections, who you know if you're at school, make sure you make friends with those people. But what I would say is you do not have the most perfect portfolio. All you have to do is show potential, because people hiring, they understand that you're going to really grow at work doing the job. So yeah, if it's background, again, you know, perspective and all that.
That's
I have three different portfolios if that's the case. Yeah.
Awesome. Jose, thank you again so much for taking the time. This has been incredible. We hope all of you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Our next session with TVA is with Kat Kazmala, Animation Movement That Matters, at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So we'll hope to see you there. And yeah, take care, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.